Hey, everybody. In today's episode, it's myself, Ben, and Michael. Michael is, in fact, transitioning out of our program here at Rock Recovery Center. You've heard me say multiple times that if you go to treatment for just 30 days, chances are you're going to relapse. In today's story from Michael, you're going to hear exactly why. He did a 30-day program, went back home, and rest assured, relapse. We unpack why he needed to be in treatment for a long time. This man has a career in drinking, 40 years of drinking, and we unpack triggers, what he's going to be doing when he transitions back home, the importance of having a program when he returns back home, why having a sense of community when he returns back home is going to be so important. We're discussing all that and more. Enjoy the show. Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. In today's episode, we've got Benjamin B.
What's happening, everyone?
And we have a gentleman by the name of Michael. Michael, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
First things first, thank you for tuning in on the podcast app, whichever one that you choose to use, and thank you for watching on YouTube. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message, right, peeps?
Yes, sir.
Also, go to realrecoverytalk.com, and on the front, you're going to see a little link that says schedule a call. You can click that, sign up for a free, emphasize free, 10-minute consultation call with us, and we can help navigate your situation, see if we can help you in any capacity whatsoever. Also, go to our Facebook group. We rebranded our Facebook group. It is now called the Sobriety Network. That was good. I like what you did there, Ben. So, the Sobriety Network is a platform that we put together for anybody. If you're in recovery, if you're not in recovery, but you know somebody that's struggling with addiction, if you're a family member, a loved one, and you need support, go there. Go to Facebook, type in the Sobriety Network, and we're going to pop up and just answer a couple questions, and we're going to let you in. And yeah, it's like the town hall for addiction recovery, if you will. What do you think of that, Ben?
The town hall. I like it.
Also, if you want to have a regular ongoing call with either myself, Ben, or Dr. Tambini, you can sign up. You can get that by signing up at realrecoverytalk.com/services. Scroll down and you pick whichever one you want to chat with, and then you just sign up. And yeah, you basically can talk about whatever you want. If you want to talk about yourself, if you want to talk about your loved one, if you want to talk about the price of tea in China. Where did that phrase come from? Do we know?
I've never heard it. I think you just made that up.
Boston?
I didn't make that up. That was that's like, you know, when somebody says, "Hey, what's up, Ben?" or "What's going on?" or anyways.
Maybe it was Boston. They
Boston
probably
Tea
wanted to get
Party.
the tea from China rather than from England.
They were tired of paying tariffs. I know that.
Yeah. So anyways, go to realrecoverytalk.com/services to sign up there. That's it. And you can go to realrecoverytalk.com/guides with an S, plural. I've been saying this wrong the whole entire time. Guides, Guides. There's 5 guides that you can scan, pick whichever one that you want. It's a free downloadable PDF. So realrecoverytalk.com/guides. All right, here we are. Michael, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very good, John. Thank you.
Do me a favor. Pull the mic a little bit closer to you.
Sure.
There you go. You're a very soft tone fella.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah. So just to give a brief introduction, Michael is getting ready to transition out of our program when? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning, yes.
Heading back to?
Wisconsin, south of Milwaukee,
Yep.
a little town called Kenosha.
Oh, everybody knows
You're
Kenosha.
from Kenosha.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Right on Lake Michigan.
Okay.
Just in time for cold weather.
Yeah, it'll cool off. Well, actually, October, the weather is ideal for me. It's nice and cool, and autumn turn into fall, and then winter's been arriving a little bit late the past years. Mid to end of December is when it starts really cooling off. We're in my neck of the woods of Wisconsin anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Ben and I talk about having somebody come into the program and really take advantage of the program, this is a example of what we mean by that. Michael came into the program, and in the beginning, I mean, full transparency, you were an angry one.
Yes, I had a few character defects that needed to come out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, but I feel like what we're good at is, as staff here, we're able to kind of see through that. And, at face value in the beginning, Michael, you were kind of like, I don't want to be here. I don't need this, so on and so forth. And, we could have used that as a opportunity to say, well, you know what? And this goes back to what I always say, Ben. When we hear this term, oh, well, they have to want it in order to get sober. Oh, they have to, if they don't want it, then what's the point in even trying? We hear that a lot from family members. And this is a prime example because in the beginning, Michael, I think it's safe to say you didn't want it.
No, I was completely, I shut myself down at first. I was, the transition from being in the residential where I came from and as part of my recovery, you have it real easy in there. And I think maybe that I was a little intimidated making the next step forward, but it proved to be wrong because I was able to become very comfortable at Rock Recovery and with, of course, the help from the staff here who are phenomenal. I can't say enough about them, how well they treated me. And, I've learned a lot about myself, and I guess that's the most important thing.
You mind if I chime in here real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to real quick take a brief moment to say like how it transpired that we got Michael on the podcast, because this literally just happened, 20 minutes ago?
Yeah.
And so we do here at Rock what's called a mug out. You get like a coffee mug that says, what's it say on it?
You rock.
It says Rock Recovery.
Yeah.
It has the Rock insignia on there.
Wait, doesn't it say you rock?
Yeah, it says you rock, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, so a lot of places they call it a coin out. They give them a coin. We do mugs here. It's like a mug out. So you can mug somebody if you need to. But point is everybody gets an opportunity to share on what they've witnessed. And then Michael gets the opportunity to share how he did it and what was important in his journey along the way. And, it's funny because Destiny spoke in particular because she's the one that you were on the phone with to begin with.
Yeah.
And, then you ended up saying something. I'm going to come back to the Destiny thing in a second. But you basically, when it came time for you to share, I don't know if you noticed, but you almost had me crying. I knew. I saw some.
I was tearing up myself. Yes,
and I was like, dude, I called an audible because I was getting somebody else to podcast, and I was like, that person's going to be here. We have to get him on because he's leaving tomorrow. Just what you said downstairs, was so heartfelt for me that I was like, I really hope he says yes. Please don't deny me. But going back to the Destiny thing, to what Tom was talking about, I want to ask you. She said that when she took that initial phone call with you, you gave her like 30 reasons on why you didn't want to come. Or do you recall what some of those were, just out of curiosity, or what the thought process was?
I could sum it up in kind of a nutshell with just a few things real quick. Was one, just uncertainty. Another one was maybe fear, and what and what not to expect, and just just me. I really was a timid person, and it's just not knowing what to expect. I think mostly, to sum it up in short.
This is your first time in treatment, right?
From end of January this year of 2024 till the end of February, I did a recovery program where I sold myself short. I just went to the residential phase of the recovery program and went home. And, I thought that, okay, I know what I need to do, but I didn't do those things. And I had a relapse after being home for a couple of months. And so I went back down to the same place that I did a residential part of the program with the mindset that this time afterwards, you're going to do the aftercare with a PHP and an IOP, which I am in right now. And that's why I did come instead of listening to my nonsense trying to talk myself out of not coming to the PHP or IOP at Rock. I talked myself out of that, and mostly because I told myself on my way back down to Florida when I came back down the second time that I'm going to do it regardless. And, well, I'm so glad I did. I mean,
when you went down the first time and did the residential program, when you left to go home before you relapsed, were you super confident when you left or not really?
Well, I want to say in my mind, yeah, I was saying, yeah, I think, but that's the word right there. I think. I thought I was going to be able to do it. I felt confident, but I didn't know what to expect when I got home. And so the thing was I didn't have enough tools, to put it that way, I maintained my sobriety for like 2 months, and the weather started changing from winter to spring and nicer weather, and it just triggers came at me, and it developed into a relapse. And, you can say it had to do with the weather. It had to do with my own defaults, character defects and things, and that I didn't know about, that I've learned about myself being at Rock.
I wasn't there for the conversation that you had with Destiny before you got to us, but one thing that you said that I want to draw attention to was you gave some very broad reasons just now as to why you didn't want to come to us in the beginning. But one thing that you said was fear. And fear, I mean, I can imagine, I'm putting myself in that conversation because you have such a high level of fear in that moment. You probably came up with 30 different reasons at the time were specific and made sense in your head. But the fact that you can't remember what those reasons are today goes to show that they weren't important back then, but it was just, we were looking for reasons to not want to make that change or take that plunge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And, there's a lot of things that come in play, being away from home, and family, and, I have children, and, it's just, it's not an easy road, but it's well worth it. And I'm glad I hung in there. And I was trying to talk myself, but I knew it would be the wrong thing, because I would probably just repeated the same thing when I went into residential and went straight home after that. I knew that would be the wrong thing to do. It didn't work the first time. What was to make me think it's going to work the second time around? There's no way.
How long were you there the first time? 30 days?
It was over 30 days the first time.
Yeah.
And then 28 days the second time.
With the model, like, you know how you're in residential and then you come to us and you have a little more freedom. You actually go to a grocery store. You're outdoor. Right. Did that play a part in helping you get tools and stuff? I'm curious on your take on that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's important to have this in between residential, where you're basically in the same building throughout the whole 28 days. You don't have your telephone. And when you go into an aftercare, you get your telephone back, which enables you to, contact your family members and your loved ones. And, that's a huge part of the transfer from residential to an aftercare PHP. And then, yeah, you kind of like relearn how to live right by going grocery shopping, and you slowly work yourself back into being able to go back into society. Like when I go home now, I'm going to have enough tools that I were provided to me by Rock, being in this program, to use when I get home and continue to have a support network and to stay, commit myself to staying sober. And I mean, that's the main reason why I'm wanted to start the recovery process to begin with. And that's, I want to stay committed to that when I get home. And the tools that I've attained here at Rock are crucial. There's no way I could do it without them.
There's a couple things that I definitely want to touch on that I was there and I saw during the process. I know a lot happened with Hannah. Hannah is your therapist, your primary therapist.
Yeah, she's great.
Obviously, some magic happened there that, for lack of a better way to put it, like we're not really privy to, because what happens in your one-on-one session happens in your one-on-one session. But when you first got to us, something I want to touch on, because this is very practical. I remember in particular, you cracked your tooth, right? Is that what happened? I remember you being in a lot of
work done. Yeah.
I remember you being in a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking to myself that day, literally, I thought this. I was like, if he was at home right now going through this, he would probably drink.
Oh.
Like, what's your take on that? Because things like that happen. And I think in early recovery, it's more, if you cracked your tooth today, I think you'd be okay.
Yeah, well,
I feel different now than I did then.
Yeah, well, I'm making progress on. I have more dental work that needs to be done, but it wasn't just that. I had a kind of a strenuous physical job for over 40 years. I've been in the same trade, and my body, I have arthritis in my hands. Rotator cuff have damage, and so I experience pain, not just only from having chipped teeth or tooth, other places in my body too. So I stress that because I'm limited physically. I feel to what I can do compared to 40 years ago. I mean, yeah.
Back in the day, though, I mean, a lot of times we would deal with pain, but with substance use.
Yes, but definitely.
And
yeah, for me, it wasn't just alcohol. I was able to obtain other substance, that, I wasn't supposed to even have. And, yeah, I was, my big weakness was with alcohol. And yeah, I have to say that, I would be drinking today probably still if I didn't decide to give it another shot. And, I know the mistakes I made the first time around by not doing the aftercare. And, I mean, I was committed before I arrived at Rock, even though I was trying to make up reasons, but there weren't no reasons, more excuses not to arrive here after my second time at residential. But today I'm opening my eyes and I say to myself, I don't realize the change, but I've heard it from numerous people that, they see the change in me, and I know I have a lot better outlook going home this time around than I did in February. Yeah, for sure.
The next part I wanted to touch on, there was 1 week in particular that I think I saw a total pivot in the direction you were going. You'll have to fill me in on the details. My recollection's not 100%, but I remember there was a morning where we sat down with you one-on-one. It was myself, Maya. Who else was there? I forget.
Hannah. No, not Hannah. It was Nicole.
It was Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the sense that I got was maybe something was miscommunicated. But I just remember the sense that I got was that you were please correct me if I'm wrong, that you were having a hard time trusting us or trusting people in general.
Well, I think what the issue was with me is, okay, you start out being at a PHP level of care, and then you go to an IOP level, which means you have more freedoms to go about. And I just, I wasn't really sure what that meant, but I was more anxious to be at the IOP level, and I was being held back a little bit, which to me, I mean, every step of the process that I went through, I should have exhibited more patience, because I am the patient, and it was important for me to learn that the care that was provided for me was done in their fashion and not what I thought it should be. It should have been done in Rock's fashion, because they're experienced at what they do, and I have absolutely no experience the program I've been in. I mean, you learn as you do it, but that was my hang up. I think it was like a hang up. Well, these guys are getting in their cars, going places, and so I don't have a car down here, obviously, but after I went to the IOP level of care, I was getting out, exercising, taking walks, riding a bicycle, and, maybe taking myself to a deli and having a sandwich, which, that is like a turning, like kind of like just a little bit of a turn in the program. And it helps enable you to gradually work back into society after, in detox and residential, you're in the same building, and which is nice. And this time around, and I have to admit that I took a lot more from being in that program again, and then coming to Rock. And I mean, that gets you from being in a residential level of care and being back into society, and give you enough confidence to know. I mean, I am so much more confident this time going home that I'm going to be able to maintain my sobriety, have a network around me, and stay connected with, a program up there in AA, and do what I need to do.
One thing, one thing that you said, and I love this, and
I think it's the same thing.
Probably, I need to be more patient, or I need to practice more patience, because I am the patient.
Right.
I think that there's so much wisdom in that, and if everybody could adopt that mindset, they would be in such a better place. And let's break this down. Practicing patience, especially for addicts and alcoholics, is very difficult to do. We are human beings that love to have instant gratification. We want what we want, and we want it now. And that's just in our nature. And I'm that way today. Ben can attest to this. If I want something, well, damn it, I'm going to probably go and get it. Whatever that may be.
Being human.
Yeah. But when it comes to addicts and alcoholics, we are of a special kind when it comes to this. And a lot of times when we're not able to practice this patience, we set ourselves up to fail, because in this moment when you have all this anxiety in you, and you have all this fear in you, and you have I know this is what I want, and this is what I want to be able to do. And how many times do we hear oh, I need to have X, Y, and Z in order to be able to do X, Y, and Z, or I need this to be able to do that, so on and so forth. If people could just slow down and practice patience and understand that I am the patient here, and these people have been doing what they've been doing for years at this point, maybe they know better than me, they would be in such a better place. Because I remember distinctly, you and I, we were at Drive Shack, and you had just transitioned to IOP. And I said, well, how's things going now that you're at IOP? And your response was something to the tune of, well, it's not really a whole lot different.
Right. Right. Well, it's not like I had wheels parked out in front and a job to go to or anything, but I got out of the house, and took walks and bike rides. I went to parks. I was able to capture, some nice photographs of wildlife here in Florida and birds and things, and I really enjoyed that. And that's one of the hobbies I'm going to keep pursuing once I get back home too, is getting out there. And my therapist, Hannah, she calls them glimmers, and which is the opposite of a trigger. And so, yeah, anything in life that you can find that has a little shiny spot to it, go for it, instead of a trigger that will do the opposite, and you'll end up with your elbows sprawled out at a bar somewhere. There's so much more to life than just little things, little glimmers, and that's what I'm going to look for. And my therapist brought that to me, and well, it doesn't seem like much, but it's an important piece of the puzzle for me in order to maintain.
This is why I wanted him up here, literally. So check this out. I was waiting for you to bring this up. I didn't want to instigate it, so to speak. But here, because you looked at me when he said glimmers. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Dude, we're both over 13 years sober. And when you said that downstairs...
14 for the record.
Oh, yeah, you're 14 now.
Yeah. Respect your elders.
Point is we've been sober over a decade, and I had never heard that before. And Hannah had never said that to either one of us before. So, that's the beautiful thing about this is, during your mug out, I was like, whoa, glimmers are the opposite. And the way that you explained it, I could feel it in my heart.
Yeah, well, it works, because if you feel a trigger, then go out and try to find a little glimmer, and it'll take the trigger off your mind quicker. So it's kind of like, Hannah did a great job with me, especially making me realize and bringing out my character defects. And one bad one was impulsivity, which you're not going to be able to allow yourself to be patient if you're impulsive all the time. And I can't say that I'm totally, completely am cured of having impulsivity, but I sure do have a better handle on it after, my sessions with Anna and being here all together, all the staff and everything. They really do bring out the best in a person, and they help you realize, we all have defects. It's just realizing them and learning how to work on disposing them, replacing them with something that's more positive.
I want to break down the psychology on this, what we do on our end, for instance, because I think this will all tie together well. Tom mentioned a second ago your response to when you dropped to IOP. You said there's not much difference between PHP and IOP. And the thing that I want to throw at people is for us on our end, it's not even necessarily about the change in the level of care. Because one thing that the therapists will say to our clients a lot of times, oh, in this case, we'll move you to IOP when you stop asking. If you keep asking, we're just going to hold you there. And it's not even about the level of care at that point. It's about getting that person to come to the realization that they need to surrender to exactly what you said, that maybe somebody else knows a little better than me. It's not about us trying to control you. It's not about us trying to limit what you're able to do or keep you a prisoner. It's about getting you to have that mind shift change of, okay, I'm just going to go along with this. Mm-hmm. Because that week was pivotal for you. All of a sudden, something was different in your eyes.
Well, I started looking at things instead of me and the impulsivity, the level I was at that time, going after and trying to think like I'm missing out on something, rather just let things come towards me more. You know what I mean? So that transfer from PHP to IOP is important in that aspect, is because I realized that week that I was being too assertive. I wanted to be more assertive. I wanted to get out. And the gradually is a better approach to do that. It made me realize, what am I in a hurry for? I just, I knew that, my time wasn't going to be infinite here. There was going to be a day where I'm going to transfer and continue to do the work at home where I'm from in Wisconsin there, I need to take it slowly. I can't, you don't hurry in recovery. If you're hurrying, you're trying to push the envelope. I think there's more chance of failure. You just have to take it gradually. They always say one day at a time. And, that's easy to say, but it means a lot. Just take things easily.
I have a question, but before I ask it, I want to touch on what you were talking about with impulsivity. What treatment does is, because you said that it's not perfect, and it's never going to be perfect, whether it's with your impulsivity or if it's with instant gratification or anger issues or whatever the case. Just because somebody goes into treatment doesn't mean that those things are going to be cured. They never will. But what it does do is it gives you a barometer. It gives you, because you're never going to forget this experience and what you went through in this experience. And so when, anger comes up for you, or impulsivity comes up for you, or any of these quote unquote character defects come up for you, you're going to be able to pinpoint them because you've been through this treatment process and we've helped you identify those and stuff like that. So yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. And
some of them that you helped me identify, I didn't even know were there.
Yeah.
So, because they were bottled up so tight inside of me. And, like I said, Hannah, my therapist, and the whole process here, I realized things about myself so much. It's unbelievable because, things I kept bottled up so deep inside of me that no way they were registering in my brain. And they were able, at Rock, you were able to, put light on them. And so, now I'm able to identify those defects and, gradually work on them and hopefully get them to a very minimal state because they're not doing me any favors, So if I'm going to continue at home with my program, I need to keep working on those things. And that's why I need the support from the AA community and staying in the fellowship, staying connected.
What were, since we were talking about triggers, what are some of those for you back home?
Well, it could be a lot of things. Well, for one thing, I've decided to retire from my current career that I've been working for a lot of years. That was a trigger in itself, going into work. I had built up a lot of animosity towards my employment, my just everything about where I was at there. And I was so used to the job, and had so many years behind me, and I just said, well, I'm going to stick it out until the time comes when I want to retire. But it was really a toxic environment for me. And that, and just, things that happen to you in life that are maybe always good, but, I had to go through like a breakup, a divorce, and things like that, and I more or less felt a lot of self-pity. So that's a reason, okay, well, it'll go away I'll numb it with alcohol, and just a lot of bad emotions that were I was experiencing. I thought just cause, well, I'll numb them, by my alcohol use. And well, that got way out of hand. In the morning before going to work, every day, 5 days a week, sometimes Saturday, I was drinking 2 to 3 24-ounce cans of this Bud Light Chelada. We're talking before 7 a.m. And it was just numbing the fact that I had to be where I was at work. And that's just foolishness. It's not a good idea. And my life was very toxic. at that time, at that point in time.
Did you have any specific bars that you would go to or anything like
yes,
that?
I was a regular at a few places. I mean, nobody, I wasn't a stranger to anybody at a few of the local Kenosha bars where I'm from. Well, I have a long career of drinking besides how it really did escalate there in the past couple of years. But I've been drinking alcohol since I was in my teen years, and now I'm 64. So, I mean, yeah. So, I mean,
I'm putting myself in your shoes because where you live and where I grew up, I think are very similar. I grew up in a very blue collar, it was like a lot of factory work, and I was a mechanic by trade, and so everybody would do a long day's work and then go to the bar afterwards and just drink there. I'd still be in my work attire.
Right.
It
almost like you feel like you're deserving. I just put in a hard day of work. The boss is barking at me.
Yeah.
And I'm, I deserve. And yeah, the bars fill up at, they call it happy hour, but
yeah,
I mean, my happy hour, I think you need to switch to walking into a local pub and open up the door to where I know where I'm going to be attending meetings instead.
Well, and that's what I was kind of gearing towards, because, when you do transition back home, it's a for sure. You will run into some of your probably drinking buddies that it's not going to necessarily be at the bar, but who knows? You may run into them at the grocery store or whatever,
Right.
And they're going to have questions, and they're going to ask like, hey, where you been? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, those are the little situations that we need to be prepared for, because Ben, like what you say, we trip over pebbles, not over boulders. Those are little pebbles, right? We go and we, see Frank from, Tony's Lounge, and Frank says, hey, Tom, where you been? Blah, blah, blah. And hey, meet me down at Tony's. And then you could even go and say, okay, yeah, I'll go, with the best intentions not to drink. Hey, I'm just going to go have, some wings and whatever, and catch up with the guys, and, have all the best intentions and staying sober. And maybe you do that for a couple of weeks or a month or 2 or 3 months. And then next thing you know, it's like, maybe I can have a beer.
Right.
And that's the scary part.
Yes. That's going to be the worst thing for me to do, is to think I'm going to go with, and I won't even say I'll say coworkers and acquaintances, because a lot of the people that I was, around, when I would go to a bar or whatever, they were more acquaintances. They weren't even looking out for my best interest at all. Sure, you go in there and everyone's having a good time, supposedly, but you also look around, there's a lot of people with their hands on their, wondering, oh, what am I doing, or where am I going in life? Because what they're doing is they're just a revolving door. There's a revolving door in and out of the local little taverns where, and it can dawn on you all of a sudden. It's like, look how much time I'm wasting and money.
Yeah.
And for what? Because actually people a lot of times weren't all that friendly to me. A lot of them wouldn't have anything positive or good to say. It'd all be kind of like ridiculing and kind of like,
negativity.
Yeah, negativity. And numerous times I would be talking when trying to join a conversation, and you feel like you're just shut off. They're not even listening to you. So yeah, from them bars, there's way more negativity that can draw from going to them places than anything positive for you.
Especially at this stage.
Yeah.
You'll never be able to drink the same. That's the
I'll
thing.
never be able to drink. No.
It's the head full of AA and a bottle of booze.
I can't have one. No.
Here's the other side of it. You got some work to do. And I mean this in a good way. Hear me out, though. Hear me out. A few minutes ago, you said that you're going to need the help of AA in the community. I hope you recognize, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, the community and AA need your help.
Right. Yeah.
You're bringing something up there.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope you recognize, like, the level of insight that you have and all this experience of how you've changed internally, bring that up there and help some people.
Yeah.
Find a drunk Michael.
Yeah. Right.
There's a bunch of drunk Michaels up there.
Well, there's for sure. Well, I have no doubt in my mind that a couple of the places where I'm going to be going to meetings that I'll probably know a couple people, because I'm not the only Michael from Kenosha, Wisconsin that is in AA now. I mean, there's plenty. I've had thoughts in my mind. There's more people around, well, probably that I know, that do drink than don't. I just have to find the ones that don't by going to AA and because then I wouldn't have the tools in order to go and present myself in AA. I mean, I'm going to feel a lot less. I'm probably not going to feel hardly nervous at all going and sharing my story and getting to know people that I know I'm going to need. And like you said, they're going to need me. It's given and receiving, and it's give and take. You take from people, what they're offering you, and you give back, and that's what it's about.
I'm going to make a prediction. This just kind of hit me. I was thinking of like our journey, for instance, but you just said that you know more people that drink than don't drink. The funny thing is, I was just thinking in my head, like when I first got sober, I felt the same way. I'm like, everybody shoots heroin. Yeah. Everybody drinks and snorts coke. If I think about it today, and Tom, I want to know what you think. I very can easily say that I know more people that don't drink and party than do. It's funny how that shifts.
It's because I was putting myself in that circle, of people that's the reason why most of the people that I know drink, is because I was putting myself among them, instead of the opposite is going to be putting myself in, staying in the community of AA, because I mean, it's black and white. Really, it's just black and white. There's plenty of people out there that I need to, that I'm going to, probably have a lot of friendships and not acquaintances.
Yeah.
By going to AA, I'm going to develop real friendships where, you actually feel like you're cared for, and you're going to be able to care about somebody else instead of getting the feeling like, well, hey, I'm kind of bitter because I just tried joining a conversation amongst a couple, 2 or 3, and I kind of was like shut out. And yeah, it's negativity.
Yeah.
And that just breeds negativity. So giving yourself a chance to be around positive people is going to be a big turnaround for me.
It's the saying, you are who you surround yourself with. And I agree. I mean, I know a lot of people that drink, even here. But there is a distinction between somebody that can go and have a beer at dinner. I don't consider that like,
no.
I know a lot of people that do that. They can have a glass of wine at dinner or a beer, 2 beers. But I don't have in any of my friend circle here. I'm not friends with anybody that I'm concerned that they're an alcoholic. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the people that so yes, I know far more sober people than I do alcoholics, but it goes back to what Michael's saying. That's because that's what I've sought out. When I was in Pennsylvania, I never sought out sober people. They were there, and I'm sure they're there.
Oh, I avoided them.
Yeah, I mean, I never, because they would always draw attention to, or they wouldn't even draw attention to it. I would think they're drawing attention to my being a dumbass. You know what I mean? So, but I think that.
Well, another bad thing about it is I was giving myself an overall view, an overall picture of where I live, that are a bunch of drunk people. And no, it's not that way, but it was kind of like that's the perspective that I was giving myself, because that's the people that I was, being around, putting myself around, and nothing against some people. They're all great people, but I mean, some people can handle drinking sociably. I'm not one of them. I thought I was for a long time.
Or wanted to be.
Yeah. But no, because I learned from my first time in detox and residential and going straight home. It took a couple of months, but no, it got a hold of me. And once you give in a little bit, if you're like me, I'm a problematic, you know, I won't say a problematic drinker. I'm an alcoholic. And so, yeah, one drink is too many because you hear it a lot. It don't matter what the end number is, but one is too many for someone like me. And then whatever number, 20, 25, 1,000 is way too much. And so, one, I can't. And that's one thing I've learned.
I like what you said. I want to draw attention to this real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. If you lived where I lived, or if you were from where I was from, or I'm from, you would drink too. We hear that all the time. And I remember even saying that up there, when I'm like, what else is there to do? It's Newcastle, Pennsylvania. It's, it's not a destination place, right? Nobody's, looking forward to moving to Newcastle, PA. So I would always hinge on that. Like, there's nothing else to do here. Now, with substantial sobriety time, and every time I go back to Newcastle, now I'm able to see what you were referring to earlier, the glimmers. It's actually a very nice area. And I took it all for granted living there. I took my son there a couple of times, and being able to be in Newcastle and the surrounding areas and actually seeing what there is to do and the things to offer, like, the only thing, I love it there. I love the area. Now, I would never move there, primarily for one reason: the weather. I cannot deal with the cold weather. But outside of that, I think it's a beautiful area. I love the woods. I love all the rivers, and there's a place, McConnell's Mills, where you can go hiking, and there's so much to do there that you can't do here, or at least I haven't found here, but I also haven't really looked. But I don't want to go hiking through the woods here because they got, mosquitoes the size of birds, and
them are the places you can find the glimmers.
Those are you're exactly right. Like, so you're going back to Kenosha, and those are the things now, because you've been removed from it for so long. It's going to be interesting to see, like, when you go back, the things that you pick up on, because you've been there your whole entire life as, let's call it what it is, a drunk.
Yeah.
And now you're sober.
I've already seen in my mind positive things that I know have been there all along, but I didn't really ignore them. I was too busy heading to the bar to have my drinks and sit there and be a fixture of something that really wasn't doing me any good. It just proved to be all negativity.
Yeah.
And I have to go out and be active, just doing things. And aside from, setting up a support system around me, time that I have, free time, doing things that are enjoyable, finding the little glimmers, the bright spots, and because that's what really is what life is about. That's the way it's intended. It's not intended to sit every day. I mean, how many glimmers are you going to find inside of a corner tavern or a bar, other than maybe meeting friends? For me, you can't, because I'm an alcoholic. I mean, shoot a game of pool? Well, you can do that anywhere. You can watch TV anywhere, a sports game or whatever. You can do that anywhere. And I'm not saying, I don't want to say that they're an evil place. I will go into certain establishments that are more in business to serve good food. Sure, right. There'll be a bar and part of it where they're going to be serving alcohol, but I'm going to be with somebody that also is supporting me to stay sober and to go in there and to have something really good to eat and soft drinks, not even no NA or what have you, because that's just a trigger. NA is going to lead to regular beer, and regular beer will lead back to
Here.
whatever. Yeah, stronger things.
NA beer is going to lead to regular beer, and regular beer is going to lead you back here.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? We'd be glad to have you. But we're not even going to talk about that because it's not going to happen.
When I come back, it's going to be after I get my 1 year cake.
Hell yeah.
If I'm not be able to be here at my 1 year date, I'm going to make sure that it's known that it's my 1 year date. And you guys, we can have a virtual piece of cake.
Hell yeah.
However
let's
have
do it.
you.
So
I'm not able to be here, but
what is your sobriety date?
it's May 25th.
May 25th.
Yeah.
All right. I'll remember that. Yeah. Well, I'll put it in my phone. Well, that was fun. All right. So let's wrap this up. Ben, any final thoughts?
No, I'm so glad we had you come up here. There is some nuggets in this episode.
Yeah.
Content-wise, I think so much of what we talked about.
Yeah, well, I think
was
the important
top
thing
notch.
is, too, okay, I knew I had a problem drinking, and I knew I was an alcoholic, but I didn't know about these character defects that I needed to work on that were rooted deep inside of me. And being a part of the program here, I mean, it extracted them, at least brought them out into the light for me. And without being able to work on those defects, it'd be impossible for me to stay sober, because they're something that, they're a part of you. And if you don't work on them defects, you're going to have a hard time not picking up that first drink. It's going to be harder. And
Yeah.
I'm a 12-step guy through and through.
Yeah,
That's
and I
like
need- that's what
that's
I'm gonna
that's the foundation of my recovery. But I definitely want to give kudos to Hannah, your primary therapist, because she clearly did some good work with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
she brought out the things that I needed to see.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
I think sometimes I say that because sometimes maybe not intentionally, but I have a tendency to like minimize
Me too.
therapy and one-on-one stuff. But in your case, in all cases, can work wonders. Really can.
No, they say it works if you work it.
Yes, sir.
Right?
That's right.
Yeah, you have to work it.
Well,
You have to want
Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here.
No, thank you, guys.
We're sad to see you go, but, all good things come to an end at some point.
Yeah.
So, I know you're going to stay in contact with us, and your primary mission when you go back home is to, 1, stay sober, and 2, help other alcoholics.
Right.
So, all right, that is it for this episode of Real Recovery Talk. Thank you for tuning in. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. That is it. We will see y'all later.